Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on a truly fascinating and pretty intricate deep dive into a case that really blew up online for a while. It revolves around a figure named Jymie Darling.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine trying to piece together a story from, well, everything. Online posts, really personal accounts, even official court documents. It's a lot to navigate.
It really is. It's like trying to assemble a puzzle with pieces scattered all over the internet, and some pieces might not even belong to the same puzzle.
Exactly. But that's what we're here for, to
Yeah.
try and cut through some of that noise and bring you some clarity.
Right. Our mission today is to go beyond just the headlines, beyond the sheer volume of claims and, frankly, counterclaims. We've gathered a collection of sources, blog posts, investigative articles, court transcripts that paint this really complex picture.
Accusations, detailed attempts to verify things, very public fights.
Yeah. And we're going to unpack the specific claims made by and about Jymie Darling, especially the ones around stolen valor, which is a big part of this, but also other aspects of her public persona.
We'll look at the evidence presented in these sources, try to analyze the different viewpoints, because there are definitely different viewpoints here.
Oh, absolutely. And help you understand the core arguments, what they imply, and maybe even some broader lessons about, trust and truth online.
You'll hear about these really extensive military claims that definitely got veterans talking.
Mm-hmm.
Academic credentials that raised some eyebrows, and some really contentious personal and professional disputes that ended up in court. Actual legal battles.
Yeah, very public ones.
We'll be laying out the facts as
Mhm.
presented in our source material. That's key. We're sticking to what the documents and articles say, helping you sort through it all to get to the heart of what seems to have happened.
So how do you even start untangling something like this? It's a real web.
Well, it seems like the initial spark, the
Yeah.
thing that really kicked things off, was one specific, very loaded accusation. So the central allegation, maybe the most emotionally charged one against Jymie Darling, revolves around this term, stolen valor. It's a phrase that really hits hard in the veteran community. You hear it, and you immediately think of people falsely claiming military heroism.
Definitely. It carries a lot of weight.
But what does it actually mean legally?
Right.
Especially now, with changes in the law and court rulings, it gets thrown around a lot, but the precise definition is, well, it's crucial here.
That's a really important place to start. Our sources actually dig into this distinction. Historically, stolen valor was, kind of a broader term. It could mean anyone claiming medals or honors they didn't earn, just the act of lying about it.
Okay.
But the game changed with the Stolen Valor Act of 2013. The law got much more specific. It sets a higher legal bar.
How so?
Now, it defines stolen valor as fraudulently claiming specific military decorations, things like the Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, etc., with the intention of obtaining money, property, or some other tangible benefit by convincing someone you earned that award.
Okay, so it's not just telling a fib at a party.
Exactly. It targets situations where there's a material gain involved, maybe getting a job, or discounts, or donations, or actual financial benefits based on that false claim.
That distinction, the intent for tangible benefit, is key then for understanding the legal side of things mentioned in the sources.
Absolutely crucial. It shifts it from just deception, which many find morally wrong anyway, to actual fraud for material gain. It means proving a case legally is harder. You need that intent and the tangible benefit link.
So it's about lying for profit or some concrete advantage.
Yeah.
That makes this case even more compelling because we do see allegations linking her claims to potential benefits.
Precisely. And in Jymie Darling's case, the sources detail these really specific, quite elaborate claims she made about her military service. They went way beyond just, oh, I served.
Right.
She consistently presented herself as a highly decorated combat veteran, claiming direct involvement in major operations, Panama, Operation Just Cause,
Wow.
Desert Shield, Desert Storm. These aren't small skirmishes. They imply direct combat experience.
And it wasn't just being there, was it? She claimed specific roles and ranks.
Oh, yeah. She claimed to be a senior non-commissioned officer, an NCO, which implies leadership, responsibility,
Okay.
and even more specifically, an explosives expert, a highly specialized, dangerous field.
That's a big claim.
Huge. And then she tied her current health issues, a TBI, traumatic brain injury, bad knees, PTSD-B. She linked all of that directly to this alleged combat service.
Right, I saw that, and claimed a very high disability pension because of it, like 90%.
Exactly. A 90% disability pension. So these aren't just stories of bravery. They're claims tied directly to specific, severe medical conditions and a significant ongoing financial benefit, which connects right back to that tangible benefit part of the Stolen Valor Act.
It creates a very precise narrative.
Yeah.
And one that theoretically could be checked.
And that's where the exposure really began. Our sources point to two main individuals who started digging into these claims: Marie Vargas and Sean Armstrong.
Okay, tell us about them.
Marie Vargas is described as a professional psychic, a sound healer, and also a PR professional. Her first interaction with Darling was business-related, an event called Pagan Day Fest in late summer 2015.
Right.
And according to Vargas, Darling tried to avoid paying for services, including a plane ticket for someone named Edward Fitch, claiming she had a sudden PTSD meltdown.
So a financial dispute kicked it off.
It seems like that initial dispute, where Vargas felt her professionalism was being questioned and she wasn't getting paid, sort of set the stage for her to look closer at Darling's other claims.
Okay. And Sean Armstrong?
He's a well-known figure in veteran circles online. Retired U.S. Army Infantry Staff Sergeant, 23 years total service, tours in Iraq, Afghanistan. He's a disabled vet himself, though non-combat injuries.
So he has the background to spot inconsistencies.
Definitely. And he's very upfront about his mission, exposing stolen valor. He feels strongly about protecting the integrity of military service.
And this is where it gets really interesting. There was a photograph, right?
Yes. A photograph of Jymie Darling in an Air Force uniform. Apparently, her wife, Cammie Ellis Darling, posted it proudly. It was taken at some charity equestrian show in Burbank.
And that photo went viral among veterans.
It did, because, according to the sources, it showed a gross misrepresentation of the uniform. But the big thing was the medals. An unbelievable number of medals and ribbons.
More than seemed possible.
Way more. Sean Armstrong, with his 23 years in combat tours, is quoted saying she had more ribbons on that saddle than I had after 2 combat tours and 23 years.
Wow.
That visual just screamed wrong to experienced veterans. The sheer quantity, how they were displayed, it immediately raised huge suspicions.
So the picture was the catalyst for digging deeper.
It seems so. It led Sean Armstrong to go after the definitive proof, her DD-214.
Explain what that is for listeners who might not know.
The DD-214 is the report of separation from the military. It's basically your official discharge paper. It's vital. It lists everything: entry release dates, jobs you held, your rank, where you served, and, crucially, all your official decorations and awards.
The official record.
The official, verifiable record. The ultimate source of truth for someone's service claims.
And how did Armstrong get it? You could just ask for someone's military record?
He obtained it through a Freedom of Information Act request, a FOIA request from the National Archives. Military service records, especially summary information like a DD-214, are generally considered public knowledge after a certain point. It's not secret.
So it's based on cold, hard facts from the government.
Exactly. It takes it out of the realm of he said, she said, online arguments, and grounds it in official documentation.
So what did the DD-214 actually reveal? Did it match her story?
Not even close. It was starkly, profoundly different.
How so?
Okay, first, rank. She was an E4 senior airman. That's a relatively junior enlisted rank, not a senior NCO.
Okay.
Service time: 5.5 years total, not decades.
Where did she serve? Combat zones like Panama or Gulf?
No. According to the DD-214, her service was limited to 2 bases in the U.S. and 1 non-combat assignment in Europe. Absolutely no deployments to any combat zones listed. No Panama, no Desert Shield, no Desert Storm.
Wow. Okay. What about being an explosives expert?
Her job specialty was listed as a munitions handler. Related, maybe, but distinctly different from an explosives expert, especially the kind implied by her claims.
And the medals, the things that stood out in the photo.
This was maybe the biggest discrepancy. The official record showed she earned a total of 7 medals. 7, not the rows and rows seen in the photograph. And critically, no campaign medals for Panama or Desert Storm, which you would absolutely expect if she had served there in combat.
So basically her entire narrative, combat veteran, senior NCO, explosives expert, heavily decorated, it just didn't match the official record at all.
It completely fell apart when compared to the DD-214. The sources used this document to systematically dismantle her military claims, showing how verifiable facts contradicted her public persona.
Okay, so the military claims, which were arguably the most public and provocative, seem to be thoroughly debunked by the official records. But the story doesn't end there, does it?
No, not at all. As the sources lay out, the alleged deceptions weren't limited to just the uniform. It seems there was a pattern of, well, embellishment or fabrication across different parts of her life.
Like what? What else came under scrutiny?
Well, another big one was her academic credentials. Jymie Darling presented herself as holding a PhD. Not just any PhD, but one from Cambridge University.
Cambridge,
Yeah.
in the UK. That's obviously very prestigious.
Extremely. She claimed it was in anthropology and ancient religions. Having a Cambridge PhD confers a huge amount of intellectual authority.
Was it true?
According to the sources, inquiries were made directly with Cambridge University.
Yeah.
They reported having no record of her. No record of enrollment, no record of a thesis under her name, nothing.
So another claim hitting a wall and checked.
Exactly. And apparently, when confronted with this, she then shifted her story, claiming she actually finished her PhD at UCLA instead.
Another top university.
Right. But that claim was also disputed by people cited in the sources who knew her, stating she never went to either Cambridge or UCLA. Some even said she never finished college at all.
And does the timeline even make sense? Getting a PhD while supposedly serving in the military and fighting wars?
That's another point the sources raise. Her military service was documented from 1988 to 1994. Trying to squeeze a multi-year PhD program, especially from Cambridge or UCLA, into that time frame, alongside active military duty, it seems highly improbable, to say the least.
So the academic claims seem just as questionable as the military ones, based on these sources.
It certainly appears that way. It adds to this picture of a potentially fabricated persona designed to impress or gain status.
Let's go back to Marie Vargas. Her initial run-in was over that Pagan Day Fest payment, right? Claiming the PTSD meltdown.
Yes, and that incident really highlighted concerns about Darling's professional ethics, according to Vargas. Vargas felt it wasn't just a misunderstanding. She saw it as Darling trying to leverage a condition to avoid financial responsibility.
Okay. Did it escalate from there?
Oh, yes. Vargas, who describes herself as a serious PR professional, she mentions working on a film festival for female Muslim filmmakers during the Arab Spring, so she takes her reputation seriously.
Right.
Vargas then launched a smear campaign against her, and the sources include a really chilling screenshot of an email, allegedly from Darling to someone else, about Vargas, saying, and this is a direct quote, "I want to beat the fuck out of her."
Wow. That's intense.
Extremely. Vargas interpreted that not as just angry venting, but as evidence of a pre-planned intent to, quote, use and abuse her from the start. It suggests a level of malice far beyond a simple business disagreement.
Were there other issues raised about her businesses? I think you mentioned Panpipe's Magical Marketplace.
Yes, Panpipes, and another one, Babylon Gardens Apothecary. The sources allege that both businesses were operating, at least at some point, with suspended business licenses.
Why?
Apparently due to unpaid taxes. That's a serious issue, legally and financially. And there were also claims that Darling was collecting money for charities, specifically mentioning Vietnam Veterans of America and Toys for Tots.
Okay. So the implication being?
Well, if the businesses themselves had financial irregularities like suspended licenses, it raises questions about how charity funds are being handled too. Was it all above board? It adds to a pattern of alleged financial misrepresentation.
There was also an anonymous source mentioned, right? You can't fool me.
Yes. This source claimed to have known Darling for a very, very long time and offered some pretty specific, though obviously unverified, details about her life and practices.
What kind of details?
This source alleged that Darling and her ex-wife actually lived illegally in the back of the Panpipe store.
Lived in the store?
Yeah, and described the conditions as pretty bad smelling strongly of cat urine, lots of animals kept in cages in the stockroom like a snake, rabbits, multiple cats, just generally unsanitary conditions.
Again, unverified, but it paints a picture.
It does. It adds to this narrative of alleged instability and maybe questionable conduct behind the scenes. This source also claimed it was the ex-wife, Vicky, who actually bought the store, not Darling.
Interesting. So these various threads, military, academic, professional, business, even personal living conditions, they all seem to point towards inconsistencies, according to the sources.
That's the picture that emerges from the collection of documents and accounts, yes. A pattern of claims not matching up with records or witness accounts across multiple domains.
So once these claims started getting exposed, especially the military ones by people like Sean Armstrong and Marie Vargas, how did Jymie Darling react? Did she just ignore it?
Oh, quite the opposite. According to the sources, the reaction was swift, aggressive, and retaliatory. It wasn't a quiet retreat at all.
What kind of retaliation are we talking about?
Sean Armstrong gives a very specific account. He says Darling started accusing him of terrible things online, being a wife beater, a loser, and even, incredibly seriously, accusing him of rape.
Whoa. Those are incredibly damaging accusations.
Absolutely. And Armstrong asserts these weren't random insults. He believes they were a direct response to his efforts to get her military records through that nonprofit. Basically, an attempt to discredit him, shut him down, punish him for exposing the
To
discrepancies.
destroy his reputation so people wouldn't believe him about her records.
That seems to be the implication in the source material, yes. It's a significant escalation beyond just denying the claims.
Did Marie Barghes experience similar things?
Yes. She describes Darling launching what she called a vicious smear campaign against her online. And she noted a pattern. Darling would often accuse her critics of the very things they were pointing out, or worse. Barghes said Darling accused her of stalking, which Barghes claimed was Darling's favorite tactic.
Flipping the script.
Exactly, creating confusion, making the accuser into the accused. And this apparently led to Darling trying to get restraining orders against Barghes and others involved in the exposure.
Okay, so attempting legal action against them. But there was something even more extreme mentioned, right? Something called swatting.
Yes. This is perhaps the most alarming incident detailed. Sean Armstrong describes being a victim of swatting.
Can you explain what that is? It sounds serious.
It's incredibly serious. The FBI defines swatting as making a hoax 911 call to report a fake violent emergency like a hostage situation or active shooter at a victim's address. The goal is to trigger a massive police response, often a SWAT team, to descend on the victim's home.
My goodness. That sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is. It's a felony. It puts innocent people and responding officers in extreme danger, ties up emergency resources. It can have deadly consequences. It's often done for revenge or as a really malicious prank.
And Jymie Darling allegedly did this to Sean Armstrong.
That's the allegation detailed in the sources. Darling, living in California at the time, allegedly called Armstrong's local police department way over in New York.
Across the country.
Yes, claiming falsely that he was stalking her and, crucially, that he owned unlicensed firearms. The cross-country aspect really suggests planning and intent.
Is there evidence for this?
The sources include a screenshot, allegedly of Darling using an alias, Mary Sheeples, online, bragging about having made the call.
Bragging about it.
Apparently so. The police did respond to Armstrong's house. They checked his firearm permits, which were all in order, and quickly realized it was likely a hoax. They left without making an arrest.
So, thankfully, nothing worse happened, but the intent.
The intent seems clear from the sources. It highlights the extreme lengths the alleged retaliation went to, moving beyond online insults into actions that could have had truly catastrophic results.
This all sounds like it was destined for court eventually, and it did end up there.
It did. Jymie Darling herself filed petitions for restraining orders against Marie Barghes and another woman named Sherry Mahaffey. And we actually have transcripts from the Los Angeles Superior Court proceedings.
It's official court records. That's valuable.
Very valuable. It gives us an objective look at how the legal system handled these claims. The case number was BS 162161, Judge Carol Boas Goodson presiding.
Okay, what happened in court? Let's start with the first hearing mentioned, June 16, 2016.
Right. This was Darling's attempt to get a temporary restraining order against both Mahaffey and Barghes. The outcome. Her petition was denied.
Denied. Why?
The judge stated the reason clearly. Insufficient evidence. A restraining order in California requires proof of actual violence or a credible threat of violence.
And Darling's claims didn't meet that standard.
Apparently not. The judge reviewed her allegations, things described as systematic harassment at the barn, vague threats, emails supposedly sent to doctors, someone taking photos of a barn. The judge found none of it rose to the level of a legally credible threat.
The judge even commented on the photo taking, right?
Yes, interestingly. The judge noted that taking photos is generally legal unless it's for blackmail or something illegal. She even said in neighbor disputes, pictures can be helpful because a picture speaks 1,000 words. But in this case, there was no reasonable threat or violence found towards Darling.
So her attempt to legally restrain her critics failed at the first hurdle.
Correct. The legal standard wasn't met by the evidence she presented.
Then there's another hearing, July 25, 2016.
Yes. This one wasn't about Darling's request anymore. It was about Sherry Mahaffey asking the court to order Darling to pay Mahaffey's attorney's fees, since Mahaffey had to hire a lawyer to fight the restraining order request.
And did Darling show up for that?
No. The transcript notes Jymie Darling did not appear in court for that hearing.
What happened then?
The court went ahead and granted Sherry Mahaffey's motion. Darling was ordered to pay Mahaffey the full amount requested for attorney's fees, which was $3,570 within 45 days.
So not only did her restraining order fail, But she ended up having to pay the legal costs of the person she tried to restrain.
Exactly. It shows there can be real financial consequences for filing unsuccessful or potentially frivolous legal actions.
Were Vargas and Armstrong the only targets of these kinds of accusations?
No, the sources mention another specific, very disturbing accusation made by Darling. She apparently accused a man named George Hiram Derby of being a pedophile.
That's horrific. Who was he?
The sources identify him pointedly as a real Vietnam veteran.
A genuine veteran.
Yes. And the source material emphasizes the tragedy that he was someone who, perhaps due to age or lack of tech savviness, couldn't easily defend himself online against such a vile smear.
So aiming such a terrible accusation at a real veteran who couldn't fight back easily.
That's how the sources portray it, as deeply disrespectful to the veteran community and indicative of a pattern of attacking even vulnerable individuals who challenged her or were associated with her critics. It adds a particularly dark element to the alleged pattern of retaliation.
One thing that really jumps out from all these documents is the sheer number of names associated with Jymie Darling. It wasn't just one or two.
No, it's quite striking. Beyond her main names, Jymie Lynn Darling, and her birth name, Jymie Lynn Owens.
Wait, Owens was her birth name. I thought it was Darling.
The sources clarify this. Owens was apparently her birth name. Darling was adopted from a stepfather. Bloomberg was another name associated with her family. She was also married once, legally, which might account for another name. But the sources dispute her claim of having had 4 marriages, 6 legal names. They state only 1 legal marriage and 3 main legal names. Owens, Darling, Bloomberg.
Okay, so Owens, Darling, Bloomberg. But there were other aliases mentioned too, like online handles or pseudonyms.
Yes. The sources list several. Mary Sheeples, the name allegedly used in the swatting incident Bragg. Lynn Bloomberg. Dacre Jims, which sounds like a professional handle. Trisha Bloomberg. And it's even mentioned she sometimes pretended to be her wife, Cammie Ellis Darling, online or in communications.
Wow. That's a lot of identities. It makes tracking things very confusing.
It certainly contributes to a sense of obfuscation, doesn't it? This constant shifting of names adds another layer of complexity to verifying anything about her background or actions. It feels like a moving target.
Let's revisit that anonymous source, You Can't Fool Me, who claimed to know her for a long time. They offered some pretty personal insights, right? Trying to explain maybe why some of this was happening.
Yes, though again, we have to stress this is an anonymous account and should be treated with caution. But this source offered a perspective rooted in alleged family history and personal observations.
What did they claim?
They alleged Darling's biological father was diagnosed schizophrenic and her mother had, quote, obvious mental issues. They also claimed Darling had past substance abuse problems and exhibited physical tics that they speculated could be related to drugs or mental illness.
So, suggesting potential underlying issues.
The source explicitly wondered whether Darling was a compulsive liar or if she was so unstable she thinks these things really happened. It raises questions about the line between deliberate deception and perhaps something more psychologically complex.
Does that source corroborate the debunking of the military claims?
Yes, very directly. This person stated unequivocally that Darling never saw combat. They claimed her only service injury was minor, dropping something heavy on her foot early on.
What about the PTSD and knee problems she linked to combat?
This source claimed those issues became noticeable much later in life, specifically after significant weight gain, and were not related to military service at all. This aligns perfectly with the DD-214 findings, no combat, no documented combat injuries matching her claims.
Did this source mention other behavioral patterns?
They did. Allegations of physical assaults on strangers, using racial slurs, even stealing thousands from a family member, though apparently no charges were filed for that.
And the pattern of attacking critics.
Yes, this source echoed exactly what Vargas and Armstrong reported. Anyone who called Darling out was immediately accused of having severe mental problems, or being a rapist, or a child molester. Extreme, reputation-destroying accusations.
And the PTSD claim being used.
The source alleged she used the PTSD claim strategically, even creating GoFundMe pages, effectively using the fake vet card, as they put it, to get sympathy and money. It paints a picture of calculated manipulation.
No, it's really important here to include Jymie Darling's own perspective. As presented in the sources, she wasn't just passively accepting these accusations, was she?
Not at all. The sources include excerpts from her own blog posts and online statements where she vehemently defended herself and attacked her accusers. She had a very strong counter-narrative.
How does she frame it?
She consistently called the people exposing her stalkers and lying psychopaths. She accused them of creating an illusion of proof, using photoshopped evidence, and running multiple defamatory websites against her.
So she claimed they were the liars and manipulators.
Absolutely. She argued they were obsessed with her, that they hyperventilate when I am successful. She even suggested that anonymous online comments defending her were secretly from VADers, nurses, and therapists who couldn't publicly fight the 5150 trolls attacking her.
Did she continue to assert her veteran status and disability?
Oh, yes. Publicly defiantly. She proclaimed herself a USAF veteran on a disability pension for a TBI, bad knees, and PTSD. She also called herself a world-renowned and infamous occultist and a true asshole from the get-go that never bends to the misogynist cries of the men who have felt threatened by me. Very defiant language.
And she pointed to the fact that she still had her pension as proof she was telling the truth.
That was a key part of her argument. She claimed she had been investigated and still walking freely around with her disability pension, implying that if the accusations were true, she'd have lost it. Therefore, her accusers must be lying.
Which creates this really stark contrast. You have the official documents, the court rulings, the witness accounts on one side. And on the other side, you have her absolute insistence that she's the victim, that everyone else is lying, and that her continued pension proves her right.
It really highlights the challenge, doesn't it? In an age of information overload and intense online conflict, how do you, as an observer, figure out what's real when you have two completely opposing narratives presented with such force?
It forces you to look really closely at the type of evidence. Is it verifiable? Is it official? Or is it just assertion and rhetoric? Hashtag outro. So this deep dive into the Jymie Darling case, it's been quite a journey through claims, counterclaims, and, crucially, official documentation.
It really has a complex web.
We've seen how these very specific, very public allegations of stolen valor were directly challenged, point by point, using official military records that DD-214s obtained through that FOIA request.
Right, the verifiable paper trail.
We also dug into the allegations around her academic credentials, her professional conduct like that Pagan Day Fest incident, and these aggressive tactics like swatting and the legal battles.
And the court records provided a clear outcome there. Her restraining order requests were denied due to lack of evidence, and she was actually ordered to pay the other side's attorney's fees.
What's really fascinating here, I think, is how all these different threads, personal stories, online posts, anonymous tips, and official records like the DD-214 and court transcripts, how they all kind of weave together.
They coalesce. Even without talking directly to everyone involved, the documents themselves, public records, court filings, paint a remarkably detailed and consistent picture when you put them all together.
It really shows the power of public records, doesn't it? And just persistent digging to check claims that are made out in the open.
Absolutely. It highlights that even in the wild west of the internet, verifiable information often exists if you know where to look and how to access it. FOIA requests, court databases, these are powerful tools for verification.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? This case, I think, is a really potent reminder of how important critical thinking is in our digital age.
Definitely.
When you see bold claims online, maybe about someone's amazing career, their military service, their expertise, or even when you see vicious personal attacks, how much of that can actually be verified?
Yeah. What's the underlying proof? Is there any?
This deep dive really underscores the effort it can take to get past the initial story, the loud assertions, and uncover the facts underneath, especially when someone has constructed this very elaborate public persona.
It pushes us to look beyond the narrative and ask, where's the evidence? Is it reliable? Does it hold up under scrutiny?
And this brings up a bigger question for you to think about. In this world where claims can spread like wildfire online, where narratives can be easily fabricated or twisted, what responsibility do we all have?
Right. What's our responsibility to check the information we consume, and especially the information we share, before we accept it, before we potentially spread something that might not be true?
And what role do those public records, the hard, often dry, but verifiable facts, play in keeping things grounded, in holding people accountable for what they claim in the public square?
It's a constant challenge, navigating this information landscape. But cases like this remind us that while narratives can be powerful, verifiable facts, when pursued, often provide the clearest path to understanding.
We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights into how to navigate these complex situations and maybe think a bit more critically about the information you encounter every day. Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.